it's a juicy one, I guess. I mean, the whole game was rewritten several times. And it also depends on your definition, because we had the base game from the game dev competition of Assembly, and then after that we had a completely different team. We worked on it for a while. Then we had this sort of back then I was doing mostly pretty much just design, and then I looked at what was going on. Back then we were also building it with like network multiplayer and a lot of other stuff like that, and it's sort of just, on hindsight, I'm always inclined to think that maybe I was too harsh, but I was like, this is not gonna work. Like, seeing how all of these things are like this is just everything feels off, and like it was a very, it just felt like we were heading to a very chaotic and like weird and a direction where like I didn't feel that my like whatever I did in design had any meaningful impact, because we had this flow of like, I'm just designing and then the programmers are just programming, and they were also focusing very much on the back end side of things. So basically, and then our then CEO also, we talked with him and he reevaluated the then code team, and we basically just let all of them go, and me and him then pretty much rewrote everything from scratch. And a lot of that code still exists, but then we roughly at that time also made the decision to ditch network multiplayer, because then it was like, it turned out those programmers probably couldn't have done it. So like, I'm not probably capable of, I wasn't capable of actually making that assessment back then, and it's really hard to like try to, I don't have a time machine to now with my current knowledge go back and really figure out, but it felt that way. And me and our then CEO Petteri figured we probably couldn't pull it off either, at least without severely compromising other things. So we're like, okay, that's gonna be dropped. So we rewrote it. Then we went on for a little bit, and then we had this deal with a Chinese company. They wanted us to, it's a really long story, but the long and short of it is that they want us to make a mobile version. So we again rewrote everything for mobile phones, and we did some really quite crazy and probably silly optimization level stuff for Unity, like due to how Unity on mobile worked back then. Stuff like, for example, bullets are just meshes. Like there isn't really sprites. But bullet glows are sprites, but they're like tiny, and then the bullets themselves are just like they're just shapes, geometric shapes, stuff like that, and they are all like created in runtime and stuff like that. And it's there's a lot of stuff like that, and there's like a pooling system where nothing is destroyed or created unless absolutely necessary. And I mean, these are rudimentary things, but anyway, like we had to do this was the first time for me, for example, having to do any of that. So we remade everything, and then that deal didn't quite work out in the end. We got some money, and on hindsight, I'm quite thankful of how it went down and how Petteri managed to negotiate it, the whole deal back then. And then, we went back to doing PC, but we were like, at that point we had the old PC version and we had the new mobile version, and figured out like, oh, we've done so many massive improvements for mobile that we'll just take the mobile version and build from that. And around that time, Kimmo, our current programmer, also joined us. So it was like me and Kimmo basically programming, and Petteri moved on to active CEO duty. And then we just, on top of that, we built a game. You can see the mobile background of things, and like, because there's some weird limitations on how many vertices we can have in things and stuff like that. I'd like to think, and a lot of these are not visible to you as you play if you're the player, but if you look at footage, you can see, oh, some of the backgrounds are quite low poly, and some of the enemy models and stuff like that. But there were problems on that front. We had a lot of people leave, much more than what I mentioned. Ultimately, even Petteri ended up leaving, our CEO, which kind of prompted us then to merge with Dreamloop, stuff like that. Ultimately, we had like the final team that finished the game could be argued to have been 4 people plus then Matthias, but Matthias was done at that point with the soundtrack. So yeah, it was quite a ride in many ways. Like for example, the China deal, it's such a like, oh Jesus, the feelings I felt and the things I've perhaps said when that was going on. It was a very storied part of our company life. But ultimately we are you know, better for having gone through it, and the game is probably too. But yeah, there was a bunch of stuff, such as having to drop features and having to rewrite a couple of times and stuff like that. Oh, it was weird. Like, I remember we had to push the original launch a couple of times. I honestly can't remember why, but we had to keep pushing it. I think we ended up launching the exact same day as Fallout 4. We didn't want that to be, but it was kind of like we were looking at like release schedules for games, and we kind of took a gamble where if it wasn't that, then like, because everybody else was avoiding that, of course, because it's a Bethesda game. So we took a risk, because if we basically, because we missed our earlier deadline when there would have been space, there just wasn't, like, after that it would have been just release with all of that stuff going on. So we figured that, hey, like, yeah, they already is gonna cover Fallout 4, but you know, this is a small indie game, it's completely different. Like, people will have time for this too, like big, you know, like big fucking newspaper stuff, like not newspaper, but website stuff like that. Like, they will have, you know, they will have some person who can play this, and to a point they did. But yeah, it was quite a, I mean, it felt really good. I remember there's a video, it's probably one of our dev vlogs, where we're like all cheering and oh, it goes live now, and like, remember launching it from Steam and it doing the little like, you're playing Stardust Galaxy Warriors now, and like, oh, it's happening, like, I have a fucking game in Steam, this is amazing. And I mean, after that we then launched, I guess you could argue we launched 2 other times, because we then did a really big patch on the following Christmas, which was like, so this was 2015. I'm really bad. Yes, so Christmas 2015, we did a really big Christmas patch, and when that went live, that was also sort of a celebration. But then I think the really big thing was when we released Stellar Climax the following summer, because we also went out on consoles, stuff like that. Like, that was really like, this is what we wanted to do, kinda. Like, Stellar Climax had a lot of stuff that we, like, I mean, we put in New Game Plus, stuff like that. We had the time to accumulate a lot of feedback from people, like what did people like, stuff like that. We had one more mech. We went out to console, stuff like that. It was that was, in a way you could say that's the real launch. Like, it would have maybe been fun to go through like this launch experience of all of these happening at the same time. Like, that would have been one hell of a party. Now it's more like stretched out over several occasions. But it was and I remember like this feeling, oh, it's coming out, what's happening, why is it being uploaded, will Steam let people buy it, stuff like that, and oh, people can buy it, we have a confirmation, game can be bought, whoa, you know. It was quite amazing. It's one of the moments in my life that I go back to, like, that was a nice moment, like when I'm feeling shitty or whatever. It was definitely a great moment. It's hard to remember, like, specifically, but I do remember being happily surprised how little negative feedback we had. It's a little bit of a haste, because pre-launch we found some major, our beta testers found some really major bugs, including like memory leaks and stuff like that, and like up basically until launch. We were fixing and hunting those down and figuring out, oh, like, this one is a Unity bug, we had to wait for new Unity version stuff and just disable this feature until then and stuff like that. But like, overall, I remember thinking, like, everybody likes this game. Like I was really scared that people would hate it, or people would be like, you know, just another, you know, school project, like just side scroller, like nobody's gonna give a fuck. But I mean, of course, people at large might have that reaction, but there were a lot of people who enjoyed it. We got a lot of positive reviews, and like, we got some, like, I remember we got like 2 thumbs downs on Steam, and they were both like, I've even forgotten what they were. I remember one was just like one sentence, something like "please fix game" or something like that. I don't, but we remember, like, you know, and then we got some positive ones that still had like critique or whatever, and then we went on to fix those things and stuff like that. But like, in general, reception was very, very positive. And then we then went on to accumulate, like, it's not like this was some fucking massive smash hit or something, but we did get a lot of positive feedback, positive visibility, or we did the whole thing. Like, maybe the thing that people will know this game for is that one guy's Steam review, where we had this one guy leave like a review, or was it just a comment, a message on Steam that, hey, is it possible for you guys to add a mode to play with just mouse? And I remember going to work and being asked like, hey, there's a comment like that, and like, what do we do? By I think our then marketer Heidi was asking this, and I was like, well, you know, because I had thought about that, and I was like, it would be really hard to balance mouse movement. Like that was my initial thought. Like if it's one-to-one movement, like you can make perfect dodges and stuff like that. Like that just makes it, you know, like that's the easier way to play the game or whatever and stuff like that. And then Heidi, you know, relayed that information, and we got a comment like, oh, that's a bummer. Like I half of my body is like, I mean, I don't think it was something along the lines that the person couldn't use their left hand or right hand. I'm really good at memorizing or remembering things. But anyway, like they needed to play with just the mouse. And I remember, you know, I was at home when I was reading this. I was like, oh god damn it! Like who the fuck gives a shit about balance if it's about like somebody being able or not being able to play your game? It's a single player game anyway. Like oh god damn, of course we're gonna do it. And then I went to work and I was like, hey Kimmo, can we do this? Hey, can we, you know, tell the dude? And they were like, yeah, already on it. Like we already all had the same thought. Like of course we're gonna do it. Like why would we not make a simple change just so that somebody can enjoy our game? So we did it. And then the dude left like this review of like thanking us and stuff like that. And then like that review went viral and Imgur and Reddit and stuff like that, like several times. And that gives a lot of visibility and coverage. And so I guess like, and again, like that was positive, but a lot of people were always like, oh, you know, it's nice to have devs that have, you know, integrity or whatever. And it's really weird too, because I'm not gonna lie, like when this thing happened, I do remember saying that, I mean, it's gonna be positive visibility, like why the fuck, but it wasn't like the primary motivation. Primary motivation legit was that, like why the fuck wouldn't we make you know, somebody have fun? Like, because I remember always saying that, you know, if one person has fun with this game, it's worth it at that point. And especially because it was partially a student project. And then, you know, we're like, well, what if one more person gets to enjoy just because we, you know, decide not to worry about a little balance thing? So we just did it. And, you know, and that's a really motivating thing for me to think about that, you know, there's this element always. There's always gonna be like some little thing that you can do that will totally make somebody's day, especially if you listen to people. And I guess for big companies and other companies, I would say that always, you know, always listen to people, because if for no other reason, then hey, it can be good, you know, it legit can be good marketing, like on hindsight. Or is it marketing when it just sort of happens? Good, I guess it's visibility, good visibility. Because we really try to make like a intentional effort not to milk it too much or anything. Like I think we used that when we did a Reddit Tama or whatever, we would like mention it, or no, I think it was more like we're like, let's not mention it, and if people ask about it, like we tried to. And of course, like people are gonna be cynical. People are gonna think this is like a PR spin or whatever. So it doesn't really matter. But ultimately, like we never wanted it to be like, oh, this is just, you know, we didn't do it because we wanted people to think we're good guys or something. But the more I say this, the more it's gonna sound like it's PR bullshit. So I guess I should just stop at that. But yeah, people seem to have liked the game, and we seem to have made some people happy. So that makes me happy. Well, you know, we patched the game. I guess I touched on it a little bit. Like a lot of this stuff was already sort of in the previous questions was post-launch. You know, we improved the game. With Stellar Climax, we kind of got it to a point where, because it was built on top of, you know, it was rewritten a couple of times, or built on top of a mobile version that was built on something else. It was reaching a point where it was really like cracking at the seams, so to speak. Like we couldn't do very much with it. I'm a little bit sad that we didn't patch it more than we did in a way. But then again, like it's already like even at the launch, it was at the price point, it was pretty much and that was what we wanted. We wanted to have a feature complete game, and then we added a bunch of stuff to it without hiking the price up. So I don't know. Like I guess it's really Finnish of me somehow to think that you know it's okay. Like we need to give people more, and like that's not very good for business. But like. Yeah, like, you know, we were adding things. We were listening to what people wanted. Like a lot of people wanted, you know, New Game Plus, so we added that. Most of the things that were feasible to add that people wanted, we ended up adding to Stellar Climax. Post Stellar Climax, it's mostly been just, you know, people like there aren't that many like requests for things post Stellar Climax, apart from that which shall not be named. But like outside of that, yeah, like it's pretty much a feature complete game, and people seem to be happy with it. So yeah, we patched it. We figured like whenever there's game breaking bugs, whatever. But it's at this point like it's as bug free as you can expect a game like this to be. Like there's gonna be some weird glitchiness every now and then and stuff like that, especially because it's so customizable with our customization settings. But in general, it was just hey, it was kind of like. First we did the Christmas patch because there were so many obvious things. We gathered things like what can we do, then we did that. Then after that was Stellar Climax, like let's do bug fixes and at the same time let's work on a DLC or whatever. It's not really DLC, it's just a free expansion on the side and add everything we can there. And then when we did that, we were like, okay, there isn't really anything we can add without basically just being in a situation where it would be better to make a new game. So, Stellar Climax came out. I think some bug fixes came out after that, and that's pretty much it.